My channel, DebtFree CF. Just hopped out of the shower and I'm going to take you through my November budget. Stay tuned because I'm also going to set up my December budget. So if you want to hear about that, you can subscribe and you'll get notified. Otherwise, just come back and check that too. All right, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so this is the wrap up of my November 2017 budget. I went through a check-in, and since the check-in, there's been quite a few transactions. This month has been busier than other months, partly because the groceries are getting a little bit more accurate with the shared card, and then partly I just had a lot more going on the different weekends. I was out of town or doing different traveling events kind of thing for 3 of the weekends, so that's a little bit unusual, which also meant that there were some other things that came into play. Plus, we're coming up against the holidays, and there were some shopping things related to gifts and so forth that you'll see as I put in the numbers. So I'll just kind of go through sort of from the top of my expenses area and work my way through the numbers. One thing though is that November had 3 pay periods, or 3 pay days that landed in the month. So I've got this additional amount here of my third check, and I actually used part of it to do some Cyber Monday shopping, where I was getting some gifts in the dates after I got the third check, where I probably would have otherwise waited to spend that money in December, but because part of the check was going to be allotted towards December anyway, I went ahead and made the purchases. Plus, you have to make the purchases if it's a cyber deal on Cyber Monday. So I'm going to go ahead and put that number in. So we've got $11.95 or $11.89 and 11 cents, which changes how much I've got available for filling in. So I'm just going to delete that. And then I've got some different numbers for groceries. So in this particular one, I've got a mix where 13, 37, and these 2 numbers are all for food. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that number and remove it. And then escape to get out of that cell. Go over here and add the 13 plus the 37. And then add in what I copied and pasted. So that number rounds itself out, and then just to keep track, I'm going to remove some of these things. So remove those numbers, remove these food numbers here. This is just my notes so that I can accurately fill it in rather than referring to my bank statements and so forth as I go. And then I need to put a little bit more into gas, which is the $29.18. So I'm gonna remove that, and it goes into the gasoline. But at the beginning of this, I need an equal sign in order to make it turn into an equation. And the plus there. And that's highly unusual for me to use that much gas, but because I was driving hundreds of miles for some of the things on the different weekends, that's where I increased my usage of gas. But because I live so close, I don't use any gas really for that. So I've got that taken care of. And then I also had to purchase some allergy meds for more consistent usage. So I'm just going to clear this out now that I've got that number pasted in there. And then I'm going to go over here into the medical area. I don't normally budget for this. I just put it in there to kind of keep track over the course of the year if I need to, how much I've ended up spending. The allergies are relatively new, and I'm trying a method of taking a once-a-day allergy pill to see how effective it is, but I need it over the course of the different seasons to see whether or not it seems to make a difference. And kind of just like using myself as a guinea pig, but so far it hasn't cost all that much, like maybe $20 to $30 every couple of months for the different pills, so we'll see. Clear out that one. And then now I'm moving on to the pet expenses. So I have 2 cats and a dog. The dog is small, but all in all, we've got them matched up where they all get their vaccinations in the same month of October. Now that may, over a course of a couple of years, because you have to wait till it actually expires to vaccinate them again, it may start getting pushed into November, from November into December. But as of right now, they're all on the same schedule, which is really handy because I can take them all at once. But it also means that I've got a big expense because I have 3 different sets of vaccinations that I have to do in 1 month in the year. So I'm going to start planning in December to go towards paying that a little bit each month into a sinking fund. And I did a comparison this year between just kind of the traveling clinic and my vet to see which one was cheaper. For the dog, the vet was cheaper, or at least it would have been, but my partner took them to the vet and I had kind of written out some notes about what to do. And even though there was a clear marking that the dog did not need another rabies vaccine, the vet gave him another rabies vaccine because he was good for 3 years, and he got another one that's good for 3 years. So I ended up paying extra on that. We ended up paying more on that, but all in all, it would have been a little bit cheaper with a difference of like $10 more at the vet, but that was because we wanted the 2 cats to get actual wellness checks, like a physical exam, that they wouldn't normally get at the traveling clinic. And that's only because we've had them for a little over 2 years, and the only time they've ever been to the vet was when we first adopted them. It was that got kind of lumped together, but probably since they're in good health, they're not overweight, they don't have any conditions, or they're probably not going to go to the vet often other than vaccinations. They're probably not going to get wellness checks. So I was told that our male cat needs his teeth brushed more, which, if you didn't know, you're supposed to brush your animal's teeth. I wouldn't call that an easy task, but it's also not super difficult. You just can't really force them and be aggressive about it. They don't particularly like it, but the toothpaste that's flavored, they kind of are okay with. So I kind of would have thought, animals have survived thousands of years not having their teeth brushed. There's no need to do it. And I was totally of that opinion until I found my dog with a tooth snapped clean at the gum line. The entire tooth broken, snapped off, and part of it still in his gum. So I took him to the vet, found 2 other teeth that were also cracked/broken that needed to be removed because they said it was just either going to get worse with how he chews on toys, or it could lead to some infection. Suggested getting them pulled. Not a cheap thing to do, but I do now brush my dog's teeth pretty regularly because he's already lost teeth from me not brushing them. I'm not religious about brushing the cat's teeth, but I do it. So anyway, all in all, the total costs for the cat vaccinations at the vet were about $160, and that's combined between the 2 of them. Then for the dog vaccinations, which included one that he didn't actually need, it was $62, and then he needed a heartworm test, which is done every year. He's not outside a lot, but because he does get the risk of interacting with anything, you're supposed to test him. And then the flea cost is, he goes outside, there's possibly fleas in the neighborhood. There's quite a few stray cats up and down our street. So he gets exposed to fleas, and we don't want to bring him back into the house to the cats who are not exposed to fleas and do not take any kind of flea medication because they never go outside. So we have to kind of put a barrier on him in order to protect the inside. He has not had fleas in probably over 4 years or 5 years. The only time he did get fleas was I moved in with a roommate that her dogs already had fleas, even though she told me they didn't. And as soon as I found out that all of them had fleas and the carpet in the house had fleas, I flea bombed the entire thing. I gifted her some flea treatments for her dogs because I didn't want my dog to be uncomfortable. It wasn't fair for him to have to live with fleas. And we were actually able to get it flea-free, which she said that in the years she'd lived there, she'd never been able to do it. I think she hadn't tried. But anyway, enough about my ex-roommates. Okay, so I've got $381.26, so I'm just going to copy that number. Whoa, I don't need all that extra space. So I'm just going to copy that number and put it into the other pet category. So this already has all of the different food things. They charge it as it gets shipped. So some of the things when they're shipped separately get charged multiple times. And then $100 for boarding over the Thanksgiving weekend when I was traveling for going to a concert. So that all in all was $740 for about 2 to 3 months of food, the vaccinations for an entire year, the dog licensing, and 2.5 days of dog sitting. So that's the most costly of any month, but that's because it was a very specific set of expenses that came in this month. Car insurance is normal. This category has a couple other things to add to it. So a couple different gifts, things that I was sending in the mail, some personal purchases I made at a festival I went to with my mom, some other fees of activities that I've done. So those are all in there together. So I'm going to go ahead and move that to the miscellaneous category. And then in this category, I'm also going to want to put in the cyber shopping, which is technically going to be something that would have been paid for December. But because my third check is split between November and December, I'm just going to go ahead and put it in here because the charges were actually made in the month of November. But these are just a few gifts and household items, whatever, things that were on sale from Cyber Monday deals. So got those copied. Go ahead and clear out these couple of items, and then this is getting added to the miscellaneous. So some big numbers, and I actually have a little bit here at the end that is left over, and that leftover isn't technically going to be savings, but it's going to be the amount that I put in for what gets carried over to December from the third check between November and December. And I think that's it for that column. I'll kind of tally these to zero. Then on the right hand side of the page, I've got what I had kind of allotted for the sinking fund of the pets up to this point. Then all of the different charges that got added in addition to that, and then what it ended up being for the entire month. They're somewhat close to, but this also includes the $88.50 that's actually what's carrying over from putting in for building up over 12 months for the next year's worth of expenses. So I've got $88.50 in there, and then car insurance, next month I will pay that to my mom because I'm on a family plan, makes it cheaper. And then I've got a couple other numbers to crunch. So at the end of the month for groceries, I usually like to have a little bit extra in the account. I try to have between $300 and $350 for use of groceries as well as eating out. But this month there were probably 2 charges on the Thanksgiving weekend when we were traveling that my partner paid for. We maybe didn't bring the card with us, I forget. And so they're not included. But I'm not going to worry about reconciling that unless my partner really wants to, but some things we just kind of let slide. And I'm going to send $900 to my Roth IRA. So over here where I'm keeping a tally because you can't overfill your account, I'm going to put in that I'm going to add, so there's the 900, and that means that at the end of this month, I'm going to have $41.30, or I guess like the first month of the first week of December when it processes. So I'm going to do a quick calculation about that. So I'll just put it in this box. $5,500 is how much I can use to max out, and then I want to find out how much is left after this amount has already been processed, which gives me a total of $1,370. And then I need to find out if I use December, February, maybe January through February. That would be 3 months. So how much would it be for 3 months? It would be about $460 that I'd have to put in each month. I'm going to switch that to 2 and see what the difference would be. I think I can manage to make contributions in the 700 range for the next 2 months. It'll be a little bit tight, but that's because overall I'm actually putting more than 15% of my income into retirement because of what I contribute to my employer account where my employer matches, and then with the Roth IRA just maxing it out. Basically, I'm in a really low tax bracket, so it's a really good idea to do that as long as I can afford it. If it ever was causing any kind of strain, like it just made me uncomfortable, or I kind of just wanted to spend money instead, then I would do that. Looks like if I do 685 for the next 2 months, I'll max that account out. And these numbers down here have to do with if there was extra money. I'm probably going to redo some of this right-hand side just because I'm a nerd. And then over here under travel and vacation, I'm going to put in some of this extra allotment. Part of this could actually be used towards sending to retirement early, I guess, and get it in by the end of the year. I might consider that at the end of December to do that. And then over here in the travel and vacation section, I could increase this as well. I'll talk about my travel plans in my December budget because I'm going to start adding a new category to plan for that. So I'll probably do like 500 in here now, and then this 268 will probably be for Roth. Anyhow, I did get to a total of 0. There is a little bit that's carrying over from this month to the next month because of my checks kind of straddling months, which is perfectly fine, plus making sure that I have enough for my rent check for December. So yeah, come back and check out the December budget plan. That's going to be posted relatively soon as well. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Otherwise, if you want to be notified that new videos are coming out, you can hit subscribe. This upcoming month, I'm going to have some information about how to set up this particular budget layout in Excel. I did it in Google Sheets, which is relatively similar, but I'm going to do it separately in Excel just for those of you that prefer that. And you can leave comments about anything else that you might want to see, or if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thanks for watching. This is my channel, DebtFree CF, CF standing for child free. So you can note here that in my baby steps, not planning on having kids, so that goal is already met. All right, take care. See you later.